Okay, so welcome to everyone to the Share Foundation's Life Skills Seminar. We're running a number of seminars just going over the work that we do at the Share Foundation. And this one is focused on our life skills programs, which are the Stepladder of Achievement, Stepladder Plus, and Stepping Forward. I'm Catherine Caswell, and I am the fundraising manager at the Share Foundation. And Natasha Richmond is the Stepladder manager, and Josie Rylance is the Stepping Forward coordinator, and they will be talking you through the programs. Just some housekeeping rules as we start. I think Josie has mentioned a couple of those. Please keep your microphone on mute. It's really important at the end of the seminar to so that we can go over any questions or any issues that have arisen throughout the presentation. So as we go along, if you could type your questions into the chat, we can then ask those of Josie and Natasha at the end. I think that's probably more efficient than people speaking and putting their microphones on and off. It saves me saying, "Excuse me, you're on mute." But if anyone would prefer to ask a question, using their voice, that's okay too. But if you ask the questions as we go along, anything that comes up, I will pose all those at the end. As Josie said, there's no need to have your camera on, but if you would like to, then that's no problem at all. Our seminars usually last about an hour, and as I say, we'll have questions at the end. If you do need to leave for any reason, there's a little person exiting at the door at the bottom of the screen. So without further ado, here we are, meet the team. As I say, I'm Catherine Caswell, and I'm the Major Donor Fundraising Manager. Natasha Richmond, Programme Manager for Stepladder, and Josie Rylance, Programme Coordinator for Stepping Forward. The topics that we're going to cover today are who are the Share Foundation. We're going to look at the types of savings accounts available. And then we're going to talk about the life skills programs, Stepladder Plus, which is a financial education program, and Stepping Forward is a performing arts for life program. We'll then give some participant feedback. So some of the young people that have taken part in our programs, we'd like to share with you their feedback on how they found the programs and how they benefited from taking part. And then we're going to look at our future plans before we have questions and further discussion. So why it's quite important to introduce the other areas of our work, and some of you may have been to the other seminars, but to put a context to why we have these life skills programs, it's important to understand the other areas of our work and how we came to into existence. What I would like to say as the fundraiser is every penny that we raise or that is contributed to go to individuals' accounts, 100% goes to the individual young person. All our admin and salary costs and other associated costs are covered by our government contract or by a philanthropist who wants to fund our work. So, as I say, 100% of all the money we raise and all the money donated or contributed goes to young people. Okay, so we were registered as a charity, as the Share Foundation in 2005, and I've been working at the Share Foundation since then. In 2012, we were awarded the government contract to set up and administer the junior ISA schemes for children in care, children and young people in care. Things happen between those dates, but this is a whistle-top history of what we've done. In 2017, the contract was widened to also cover the child trust funds where no one is in a position of parental responsibility. And in 2023, sorry, Josie, I'm speaking a bit slowly.
No,
In
I hit the
2023,
button by accident.
our contract was renewed for a further 4 years. So we've got some time left on our contract. So just to talk about the savings accounts that I mentioned just then, they are both junior ISAs and child trust funds. So the savings accounts are both long-term accounts set up by government and are available to all children under 18 in the UK. The Child Trust Fund scheme is now closed for new accounts, but it was available up until the 2nd of January 2011 when the Junior ISA scheme for young people in care took over. The Child Trust Fund scheme was for all young people, not just those in care. The Share Foundation can only manage child trust funds account where the local authority or health care trust has confirmed that there is no one suitable in a position of parental responsibility. And that is quite important when it comes to eligibility for being able to register onto the account and how we then support a young person to take over their account when they are 16 and have them access the money when they're 18. Anyone can contribute to an account. So before we go on to talk about the different life skills programs, our life skills programs are developed in steps or stages. So there is a progression as young people go through the program. And as each step or stage is completed, a young person earns rewards or money into their accounts. So the whole point of the programs is that a young person earns as they learn. We have a contract with the Department for Education, which enables us to open accounts for all young people in care, and there are a few sort of conditions which Natasha and Josie will talk about. Let's say next slide, please. The Stepladder of Achievement program, Stepladder Plus, is a financial education program, and the whole not the whole purpose, sorry, Natasha. The key purpose of this program is to support a young person. So when the young person, we open an account with a financial payment, and the account is contributed to, so it grows as the young person gets older. It's really important that the young person has the skills and knowledge and confidence to know how best to use their money when they get to 18. These both accounts, and we talk about, Josie will talk about the performing arts account program, which is all about sort of developing confidence and transferable skills. But both programs encourage a positive attitude and confidence, so a young person has the right knowledge and ability to progress for their future and fulfill their potential. Great. I am now, because that's what you want to hear about. You want to hear about the life skill programs, not me sort of giving you a very potted history and background of what we do. So I would like to hand over to Natasha Richmond, who will tell you all about Stepladder Plus.
Thank you, Catherine. So yes, as Catherine said, I'm Natasha. I run the Stepladder Plus program. It is a financial educational program that is now 10 years old. So we have been doing this now for 10 years, which we feel extremely proud of. I came into the company 4 years ago, so it's kind of been a few changes I think have happened over it. The most important one, it is an incentivized financial educational program, which we managed to bring about really in 2022, and that managed to be opened up to the whole of the UK. So a bit more like about the program itself and how it works and the eligibility and the registration side of it. And this is kind of where I will bang on a bit, but unfortunately it's really, really, really important. A young person has to be aged between 15 and 17 at the time of registration. They need to be in care at the time of registration. Now, I'll always get, oh, they're no longer in care or they've been adopted. Can they still do the program? Unfortunately not. They have to be in care at the point of registration. Now, Catherine touched on it briefly. The only way we know about these young people is after they have been in care for 12 plus months. The local authority, we have a main contact at each one, and they will send through, not to me, but to the Share Foundation, a report every month. It's called a data submission report. And this report will go to one of the team within the Share Foundation. They will then take that report and then upload that onto our database. Up until that point, we have no legal rights to know about these young people. So I will get, oh, my young person has been 12 months in care, but you're saying they're not on our database. And the reason is we haven't been told. How often the local authority will tell us about a young person is up to each individual local authority. They all have to provide that information, but how and when they provide that information is up to each local authority. So for argument's sake, if you're a very busy local authority and you have a lot of young people coming into care quite regularly, you're probably sending it to us monthly. But if you're a local authority that isn't having young people continuously coming into care, then it may be even annually or biannually. So it's thinking about having that conversation with your local authority before we're telling a young person to register for the programme. So that's like the first part. The second part is it's really important. It is the young person that registers for the programme. Now, I will get, again, different people will say, oh, well, they wouldn't fill out the registration form. They wouldn't do it. It's not that they're being forced to do it. We want them to want to do the program. We don't want them to be feeling that they have to do the program or they're being forced into doing it or someone is signing up for them. And I would say at this point, it is a bit of a life skill here, because if you guys are signing them up to a program, then they haven't actually taken that on themselves. They're not actually doing that themselves. And therefore, are we not teaching them bad habits that someone will sign you up to something and you may not actually know what you've been signed up to? I will come back to why it's really important that it is the young person that signs up in a moment to sort of give you some idea why that is about. But it's getting them interested in it from the start. Again, it must be the young person's email address that they use. Now, we'll have a lot of pushback on this as to why it needs to be the young person. It's the only way we communicate with the young people on the programme. So first of all, if they're not getting the email to say welcome to the programme, then they can't access the programme. So if it's going to somebody else, which happened this week where it went to somebody else and they said, oh, I didn't see the email, my young person has now been made inactive. It was a bit of a shock because we shouldn't have had that email, but it should be that we are aware that it is now a two-step process, that when we are asking for this young person's email, we're also checking with the local authority, which again, I will come back to. But there's other reasons for it. Throughout the course, we may need to communicate with them. If it's not their email address, we don't know who we're communicating with. Therefore, we're not maybe at times communicating with the young person. We try to pay the rewards into the Child Trust Fund or Junior ISA savings accounts where we administer them. Now that becomes the key point. If we don't administer the account, we can't pay into the account. And if we can't pay into the account, then when the young person turns 18, I will be emailing them to make that payment. Now, if that's not their email address, they're never getting that email. Therefore, they're never earning the money that they've done the program. So it's really important that your young people understand that they need to fill out that registration form, which I have banged on about a bit, but it is quite important. So we like it to be, and it's very simple. It's their name, first name, last name, their email address, their date of birth, and what local authority they come under. Now, most young people should be able to fill out all of those details without any issues. Again, if they can't fill out that information, they're really going to struggle to do the course. So once a young person registers, They will then be sent an email. Now, if they are on our database and everything is lovely, they'll be sent an email saying, we're now waiting on your local authority to confirm that you have registered and your email address. So we then write to the local authorities to get that information. The reason behind this is that we just need to be making sure it is the young person signing up to the program and that we do have their email address. So it's just really a two-step authentication process that we've put into place. Once we've got that, then they can then go on to the program. If they haven't been accepted, the emails are very, very clear as to the reason why. So it could be for a lot of young people, they may not put their full birth name down. It has to be their legal birth name. So if they've chosen to change any part of their name and it hasn't been done legally, and again, the local authority hasn't informed us of this, we need to have their legal birth name. If they've put in the incorrect date of birth, again, that will be their personal details are not correct. If they've not used an email address that looks like a personal email address. So there can be a variety of reasons, but they're very clear in the email what the reason is. The other one we'll get very much, and young people will get frustrated by, is the fact that they haven't been told by the local authority that they are in care. So we don't know about them. We can't push that information through. We do advise them to go back to the local authority to query that with them because we can't answer why the local authority hasn't told us about a young person. So I think hopefully I've covered the eligibility and the registration. At the moment, they will need to be working at entry-level functional skills 3 to do the programme. It is an educational programme, so we do it through a partner with the NCFE. And so they do need to be working at that level. Once they're working at that level, they will find that they'll be able to get through the steps quite clearly. So the steps themselves, step 1 is literacy. And this is really just going to help them to just try to work through what they should hopefully already know. So it'll be putting sentences into the correct order, looking for grammar mistakes, looking for spelling mistakes, things like that. We then move on to numeracy. And again, this will be looking at, can they add up? Can they subtract? And it's all building up to a purpose when they get to step 3, which is the first part of managing my money, where they'll hopefully be putting all of these things into good practice. This step will discuss things like their car insurance and understanding the difference between paying car insurance off in full or paying it off monthly. So it's just trying to really get them to understand the difference between the two and that they will pay interest. So that's 9 times out of 10 what young people don't see. So it's just trying to give those real life activities. Step 4 is writing 250 to 500 words on their plans for the future. So we're not looking again for their life story here. What we want to see is what are they doing now? What would they like to do in the future? And how are they going to do that? And then maybe what they would spend the money on. We have a lovely fact sheet which gives them quite clear instructions on what we're looking for. And normally between us, we will come back to them with just great feedback, just sort of, just trying to really look at what they've written and have they thought through what they're going to be doing. Step 5 is consistent of 16 podcasts, and it is meant to be done over 8 weeks, but I don't think anybody really probably does it over the 8 weeks. But this is managing my money. And for this, it's all about just covering things like your pay slip, what your PAYE code means, why we pay national insurance, why we pay tax. And over those 8 weeks, it will hopefully cover everything and anything financial. And then the final step is looking at what are you doing now and looking to the future here. So we're looking at, are you in education, employment and training? Can we prove that you're in education, employment and training? If you're not, how we can help you, support you, look at different things that you might be doing. So for each step, there is a financial reward. They do have to do them in numerical order. They can't go to step 6. They have to start at step 1 and work their way through. If they complete all 6 steps, they'll be paid £750 into their savings account where possible. And that is really, really key. And people will sort of say to me, oh, can they just have it paid into their bank account? Nope. If we administer your account, we'll be paying it into your account. If we don't administer your account, I will be emailing after they've turned 18. And again, we'll have, well, why is it after they've turned 18? Simply because you cannot access your savings account, the money from there, until you turn 18. So there's the reasoning behind it. If they only ever complete 1 step, they're paid for 1 step. So it's not a case of that they're not going to be paid if they haven't completed the whole thing. If they complete a step, they are paid for that step. The other thing to bear in mind is that once they are accepted onto the program, they have a month to complete step one. And it's only step one because that's the first step. If they don't complete step one within a month, they're made inactive. They then have to call in and then have to be reactivated. We do have to speak to the young person, mainly because we're going to send them an email. And if haven't got their correct email address, or it's going to somebody else, they're never going to get that email to reactivate their account. We also need to make sure that they actually are able to complete step one that day, because unfortunately it will make them inactive the next day if they don't do it that day. And the reasoning behind this is that when we opened the program up to the UK, we had lots of wonderful people come on the program and apply, and fantastic, that was what we wanted it for. But what also happened was they didn't do any steps, and then we just had lots of people sitting on the program but not actually doing anything. So we just tried to find a way to go, okay, if the funding is still there, then you can be reactivated and you can do the steps. But if the funding isn't, then unfortunately we wouldn't be able to. But, there is that time limit just to get started. Once you've completed step one, you have up until their 18th birthday to complete the rest of the steps. Unfortunately, on their 18th birthday, it will lock them out straight away. I'm going to pause there. I am going to pass over to Josie because I do feel like I've gone way. If there are any questions or anything that you feel that you want to ask, please, add them into the box and then I'll come back to them at the end. But thank you for now.
Brilliant. Thank you, Natasha. Yeah, so that was all about Stepladder. And now we're going to move on to our second life skills program, which is called Stepping Forward, Performing Arts for Life. Stepping Forward launched end of March last year. So we've been running for just over a year now. And it's, been a great success, I would say, to begin with. We've had lots of young people join, some really great feedback. And I think we've reached I think it was close to 80 local authorities now across the UK. So in our first year, that's quite a good spread. So proud of the progress. The reason why we chose the performing arts is because of, various reasons. We at the Share Foundation believe in the power of the performing arts and the impact that it can have on young people. We know that you can build lots of transferable skills from engaging with the performing arts. And we really wanted to focus on it being an introduction to. So young people, when they start the programme, they don't need any prior knowledge or experience. They can have as well, because it will teach them new things, but it can just be an introduction to. So for young people that might have never accessed it, we feel that, it being an online programme can sometimes reduce some of those barriers into first engaging with the arts, and give it a bit of a tester. So like I said, we launched in March last year, and we partnered up with Tring Park School for the Performing Arts, and they helped inform the programme, and also the Rothschild Foundation. So I've got a short video that I'm just going to play now, which will give you a bit of an overview of the launch event. We speak to some young people that had taken part in our trial programme, a foster carer who spoke about the impact of the arts on her. And lots of things. So I'll just play that now and then we can talk a little bit more afterwards. Natasha, if it doesn't play with sound, let me know. We're here today at Tring Park School to celebrate the launch of Stepping Forward, Performing Arts for Life, a virtual programme for looked after young people and an introduction into the performing arts.
Good opportunity to figure out ways to go ahead towards the creative arts and earn money at the same time doing it. I think one of the biggest challenges is not having somebody to talk to about what you want to do, or having somebody to help you down that path. It's just important to be able to feel involved with something, even if it's something online or face-to-face. It doesn't really matter, as long as you feel like you have something to do.
Feel like there's nobody with you, but this can help by you make a community around you with all the stuff that you're doing.
I was a very lucky young lady who got to come here when I was 10 and I stayed till I was 18. I was on sponsorship and scholarship. I know that the performing arts helped me get to where I am now. Now, I might not be in the performing world as such, but it helped me be the person and get through the trauma that I had myself as a child, which is very similar to the children that we are aiming this program for. Trauma is horrendous to live with, and they will never know when another trigger is going to come from. They might not even know their triggers. Performing arts is actually a form of therapy that they won't even realise that they're having. Sometimes these children do not want to talk to another adult, but they get to perform and they get to put whatever they are feeling inside out without having to say a word.
The performing arts trains you to be like nimble and just to be a yes person and positive and exciting. You're just always open to like what might happen next. I really, really care passionately about the arts being accessible to everyone, which I really don't think they are. So, you know, the idea that this can open up the access for kids in care is just like, that was really, really, yeah, I think that's powerful.
If you study or do performing arts, right, I feel like even if you don't want to become an actor, but I think when you do the art form, whether that be the workshop or the skill sets of what they do as performers, you can use that skill to work as a team, but also like be able to work with different people. Networking is great. It helps with confidence. It helps with like speaking in public with so many people. And I do that a lot now. Sometimes when I'm not performing, that's what most of my time is like public speaking. And a lot of the time people are, oh my God, he's so confident. But really, I'm nervous, really, you know? So I think those things are really, really helpful. And I feel it's something I would encourage anyone, whether you're in art or not.
Brilliant. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a little bit of a feel for the program and the development and the reasons why we chose the performing arts. So very similarly to Stepladder, it is built up of 6 stages rather than steps on this program. And I'm going to talk through them a little bit now. So stage 1 is an introduction to the performing arts. So it gives young people a really basic introduction, understanding of what the performing arts is. We look a little bit at the history, the culture, how the performing arts kind of fits in society and the benefits that it can have, and how people engage with it. We cover a few different forms. And then we go into a more in-depth look in stage 2 of the different forms. So we really focus in on acting, dancing, singing, and backstage arts. And in backstage arts, that covers things like lighting, sound, wardrobe, stage makeup, production, anything to do with the kind of production elements of stage or screen. So hopefully it gives a really broad spectrum, but is also aimed at young people who might not want to be on the stage or screen and performing, but the amazing backstage roles, you know, probably some roles that you may not even know about. So it opens up those avenues as well. Which leads us into stage 3. So this is some specialist workshops that are pre-recorded. So young people in the comfort of their own home can have a go at testing out some of these skills. So there's pre-recorded workshops. It's not that young people need to be online at 6 o'clock to do the workshop. They can do it at their own pace, in their own time, and test out some of the skills themselves and have a little try. Stage 4 is some roundtable discussions with industry professionals, a lot of which are care experience themselves, and they talk a lot about their upbringings, their beginnings in the performing arts, what inspires them, their biggest challenges and biggest successes, and their pathway into the performing arts and into the industry. So they talk a lot about that. A lot of young people say that that's their favourite section. They tend to enjoy hearing from other professionals. Stage 5 is all about how to get involved. So if a young person was interested in taking part, how they can do that in their local community. So that's things like finding a group or a club to join, volunteering, trying to locate, local art spaces, theatres. We talk a little bit about work experience or, reaching out and building kind of projects. And then stage 6 is all about moving forward. So if someone wanted to progress, if they wanted to look at an apprenticeship or further education or drama school, a further training in the performing arts, how they can do that. In this stage, we also talk about building a portfolio, reaching out to other professionals and how to kind of do that in a safe way. So yeah, overall covers really the journey into the performing arts if a young person was interested. So that kind of covers it. The main thing is about the transferable skills. So I mentioned it earlier, there is lots of transferable skills that young people can develop. So even if a young person wasn't interested in, a career in the performing arts or getting into the industry, just by engaging with the arts, they can learn so many transferable skills, things like confidence, communication, creative thinking, public speaking is a huge one, literacy skills, there's loads. And a lot of the technical backstage roles have many, many skills that you can take into lots of different career paths as well. So that was a main focus. It's not just for young people that want a career in the arts, it can be for everyone. Talk a little bit about the eligibility and registration. So it will be very similar to what Natasha has already gone over, but to be eligible for the programme, young people do have to be currently in care and have been for 12 months or more continually. And as Natasha explained, that is because we don't have their information until that point. So yeah, 12 months continually in care, and then hopefully once the local authorities submitted their data, we can accept them onto the programme. For stepping forward, young people can join the programme from aged 13 to 17. So it's a little bit of a lower age bracket, whereas Stepladder is aged 15 to 17. We've dropped the age range from 13 to 17. And the registration is very similar. We will share some resources with you after the seminar today, including how to sign up and the registration links. But again, young people just need their full name, date of birth, local authority, and personal email address, as Natasha has mentioned earlier, because that's how we get in touch with them, with young people, and keep them up to date and make sure that they get their financial rewards. And just like Stepladder, young people can earn as they learn. They earn stage by stage. So even if a young person only got through stages 1 to 3, they earn the rewards for that money for those stages. And it's a £200 total for stepping forward that goes again straight into their savings accounts where possible, or we hold on to it and we'll do a bank transfer if we don't have access to those young people's accounts. I think that is everything for stepping forward. So again, if you've got any questions directly about that, pop them in the chat. We've got a couple more slides and then we will go to questions shortly. A little bit of participant feedback. So I will play these now, but we've got a little bit, these are real quotes from young people who have taken part in the programmes, all about their experiences.
The Stepladder Plus programme made me learn a lot about how you should manage your money. It's enjoyable whilst knowing that you'll be earning money at the end of it. It has really helped me to progress, and the money has given me a head start to my future. I would really suggest doing the Stepladder programme.
I have learnt many useful skills from the Stepping Forward course. I improved my confidence, communication, teamwork and creativity. These skills will help me now in school and in the future in any career I choose. I also learned about the importance of practice and trying new things outside my comfort zone. This programme has really motivated me to keep learning and grow.
I think being able to earn whilst you learn is a great idea because it gives you real world experience while also supporting yourself financially. It makes training feel more practical and rewarding. And yes, it was definitely motivating, learning and developing your skills while earning at the same time.
So we're going to talk a little bit now about some of the plans for the future, and we'll probably swap in between all of us for this because we've all got updates. So Catherine, I'll pass to you for the research element.
Fantastic, thank you. So we've got lots of participant feedback, which is really, really important to support the future of the programme. But another element, and I'm sure you've all heard about evaluating of the impact of programmes and the work that we're doing. to sort of to take us into the future, to ensure that the programme is fit for purpose and is actually effective for what the young people want, but also from my point of view, my job's point of view, so that we can secure more funding. We're doing some research with some academics from the University of Sussex to really evaluate the impact of Stepladder Plus and the impact it has on the future of the futures of the participants, not only in developing their transferable skills, as Josie has talked about, and their financial education that Natasha has talked about, but how they progress into the future. And we'll come to the questions, but also looking at the impact on their NEET status is quite a significant part of that evaluation, particularly as far as government are concerned. So we're looking at sort of, the impact of that, and we're doing that in a sort of a quantitative way and a qualitative way with an independent source with academics from the University of Sussex.
Yeah. Natasha, do you want me to pass to you for the programme developments of Stepladder?
I will, thank you. So yes, so I talked a little bit about that they needed to be working at functional skills entry level 3. And one of the biggest things that I think I found over my time whilst I've been at the Share Foundation doing the Stepladder programme is that it did seem to make it not fair for all. So I think what we've looked at is the programme is 10, and it's actually a good opportunity to review the programme and see how we could make improvements. And so we got together and we sat down, Josie and I and Catherine, and just looked at the programme as a whole and where we felt these different things could then start to take shape. For me, it was really important that actually financial literacy or however we want to put it should be about finance. So it should be about those words that actually maybe are not words that we hear every day, or maybe we just don't understand. The biggest thing for me would always be, I think I spoke about, that if we didn't manage the young person's savings account, we would then pay it to them by a back transfer. Now, one of the things we ask for is a bank statement. And the amount of young people that had no idea what a bank statement was, where they could find a bank statement and all the rest of it. And so it kind of gets you to thinking, well, actually, how are we best serving our young people, especially nowadays as everything is done on an app, And I think it's like with most things, you'll get the tour and most people will skip the tour. And you're missing all of the key parts that are going to tell you where everything is on the app. And we get it. So what we've tried to do is look at it and go, right, okay, how can we make it fun and interesting? And I really hope that we have done that. So from June, we will be relaunching steps 1, 2, and 3, and looking at the steps themselves as being able to be accessible to everybody. So we won't be translating them into all languages. I should make that very perfectly clear, and for each educational need. But what we hope is that you guys can, that's where you guys can come in, that the programme then can be looked at and you can then see how can I best work it to suit our young persons, that it can be put into a translator generator that then can translate the programme. We're a charity, we don't have the funding to do all of these wonderful things, but we hope by making the programme actually more seamless, more straightforward in that sense, that we will then be able to give everybody the opportunity. So for step 1, like I said, it's all about that financial literacy. We're looking at giving a bit of joined up thinking here, what the Share Foundation does, which is we manage your savings accounts. We make sure that all young people have a savings account once they've had that 12 months in care. But then it's more than, well, what is that money for? And how can we best support these young people to making decisions? We're not going to tell young people what to do with the money, but let's start to think about giving them the advice and the information that they would need. So that sort of really is step 1, is giving that bit more joined up thinking. For step 2, we then move on to budgeting and hopefully helping young people to work out how to do a budget sheet. Now, if we can get them started early on this, then hopefully it is something that they will continue on through life. And it's so good. The the amount of people that will say, I just didn't realize how much I spent on coffee. And for a young person, that might be, I didn't know how much I spent on snacks. It's really simple when you're just tapping a card to not realize, actually, how much have I spent? So if we can get them into these really good habits from early ages, then it's going to continue through. We've also teamed up with Young Enterprise here, who have a wonderful app called Raise. And so we're going to be taking our young people over there and giving them that real life experience of just doing different things with money throughout a life span, I think it goes through. And then it just sort of shows them what they would or would not have been able to afford. And then step 3, we're really proud of the Managing My Money step. It's something that we devised 10 years ago, but it's like with everything, it needs a little bit of an update. But the core of it, the central parts of thinking about different things that young people will have to face. So that going into that independent living, might be semi-independent living, and thinking about bills, but we don't want to go on too much, but we just want to make sure that they do understand the different bills they'll have to pay. Car insurance, I think that is a really big one, and I did touch on it earlier. But, most young people don't realise that there is a difference between paying it off in one lump sum to paying it off monthly, and that you are paying interest. And we just want to make sure that they're aware of these things. So that's sort of like the first part of what we've done. We're then going to be looking at our steps 4, 5, and 6 later on in the year. But steps 1, 2, and 3 will be having that revamp. Well, they've had the revamp. We're now in the testing stage. So, that is looking to be launched at the end of this month, the start of June. So that is the Stepladder updates so far.
Yeah. And another slight update to share about stepping forward. After the success of the first year and the quality of the programme, I was looking at ensuring the longevity and to make the kind of programme self-sustainable. So what we have done is we have launched a public-facing version of Stepping Forward that is available to purchase from schools, individuals, youth organisations, anyone that may be interested in buying it. And the reason for that is, it allows other organisations and young people to access a high quality resource that gives them an introduction to the performing arts, but also any funds raised through selling the programme gets reinvested directly into the core version for young people in care. And that will make sure that we can continue to fund the programme and, continue with the incentivised learning. So, yeah, if anyone knows any schools or youth organisations that might be interested, I can give some more details on the public-facing version as well. But it's brand new. We've only launched a month ago, the public version. So it's getting it up off its feet. But any support and help in sharing the word about that is always appreciated. And there's the webpage if you need it. So overall, we want to continue making sure that we are building our reach, building partnerships. And yeah, was there anything else that we needed to add?
I think it's important that we build our reach, and we are developing our social media platforms that Josie's responsible for doing. So keep a lookout for us on Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn. Josie, do you want to add anything about social media?
No, I can at the end there is a few links, but yeah, again, we are trying to build up our reach. We sometimes seem to be the best kept secret. Considering the Share Foundation has been running for 15 years, Stepladder is reaching its 10th anniversary. We still have conversations with local authorities and professionals that goes, "Oh, I've never heard of you." So we're really pushing at the moment to get ourselves out there, get ourselves known, make sure that all young people know they can access these programs if they want to, and that they know about their savings accounts as well. So yeah, any creative ways that we can build reach and partnerships, we are open.
And partnerships on a local level is really, really important. So we can share best practice, make sure we're not duplicating what other organisations are doing, and just so we can, sort of share our work. That's very important. Partnerships with funders, with businesses, with corporates, with people, other organisations like that. And partnerships with local authorities, and that's really important for the next bit that we're coming on to. So I mentioned we're looking at evaluating our work. As I say, for the benefit of the programme, the young people participating, but also so we can make our case to government for investment in the incentivised learning so that we can ensure the longevity of the programmes. And we really do need the support of our local authority partners to enable us to do that. I mean, we wouldn't be able to run the programmes as efficiently and effectively as we do without the support of our local authority partnerships. And for that, we are very, very grateful to all of you.
Yeah. So, time for questions. Thank you. I can see that we've had a few comments and questions put in the chat. If you have got any comments or questions as well, please you can raise a hand. Under the react button, I think there's the ability to raise your hand or pop it in the chat.
Yeah, I just have gone back to one. Rami, just don't have your email address. So if you can just put that in the chat for me, then we will email everything out afterwards. But yours is the only one I don't seem to have on my list for some reason. I'm not quite sure.
There's lots of resources that we will email out.
Yeah, but we've definitely, I think we had a lot of people's from the registration link, but yeah, if you could pop your email in the chat. So the first question, how much is the payment per step, please? So for stepping forward, it is £25 per stage with a bonus for completing it. So the last stage is worth 75, and that's a £200 in total. Natasha, do you know yours off the top of your head?
Yeah, so for Stepladder, for completing steps 1 and 2, they are both £75 each. Step 3 is £100. Step 4 is £125. Step 5 is £175. And step 6 is £200. And like I said at the start, you know, if they complete a step, then they're paid for that step completed. If they complete all 6 steps, then that's £750. I should also say here at this point, we last year were very fortunate in the last financial year to have Scotland Government Match Fund with us, and that was really, really important. And we are really hoping that they are going to do that again this year. But if you are in Scotland, then, well, if you're in the UK, you'll know that there's local elections going on, so everywhere. So we're just waiting for them to happen, and then we're hoping to hear about that as well, whether we are going again for this year. But yes, we are, you know, that is something that we're really, really proud of. We do try to push for all local governments to kind of get involved with it. But yes, you know, at the moment that stands at those amounts per step.
Brilliant. And Melissa asked, do young people need to be NEET to access the course? No, it is not a requirement. The only eligibility is that young people are in care, have been for 12 months or more, and are within the age range, which for stepping forward is 13 to 17, and for Stepladder 15 to 17.
It's up until their 18th birthday, isn't it? Just to clarify, because that used to confuse me. I used to think, oh, when they're 17, it's up until their
18th birthday. Thank you, Catherine. But we do, and we are aware that these programmes are used and are great tools to work with young people who are NEET. So they definitely can be used as great resources there as well. Thank you, Mandy. Yeah, the programmes, I definitely needed the Stepladder programme when I first started. I quite enjoyed doing it for the first time, and there was things there that I didn't even know as a fully grown adult.
You can do step 5 of Stepladder Plus on a platform called Share Radio. Is that still the case, Natasha?
It is, yes, but do not recommend that to any young people, is what I probably would say, because that causes enormous amounts of confusion. But yes, you know, I mean, I think it's like we haven't said, you know, in our developments, but it's something that we're looking at, you know, maybe in the future, is that we do make it a public version, or that we try to find a way to do that, or to have the resources available for people to download and use. But these are all things that we hope to sort of really push forward in the near future, hopefully, that we can do. So, but yes, I agree. You know, both programs adds so much to a young person's life. And I think that's what it's about. It's about being able to hopefully make informed decisions when it comes to your finances. And I really want to stress, we're not wanting to tell any of our young people what to do. We're just trying to say, hey, have you thought about doing this? And that's, I think, the real thing through it is just giving them that information. And with Stepping Forward, it's really thinking about getting those young people confident. And the amount of young people genuinely who just, the minute they start talking, look down, everything's looking down here. And you're just like, if you just lift your head up a little bit, you're going to have a different audience, a different look, and all the rest of it. And those things, I think make it is so important that they actually enjoy, the programs for what they are. So, yeah.
Yeah. Scrolling through some of the comments, yes, we will send out an email straight after this.
The access to the recording is also available, Josie, isn't it? So if you want to share
it might not be straight away, but eventually we will definitely put that on our YouTube channel, which we can send a link to once that's up. But yeah, so resources, we'll send posters, leaflets for both programs. We will send a PDF version of the slides for you to be able to refer back to, and also our contact details. So if you did want any further information, they'll be there. And then I think it was just one from Anya. Would there be any scope? Yeah, would there be any scope to expand eligibility beyond 18, given that so much legislation, policy, and practice has recognised that young people require additional support and guidance as they leave care well into their 20s? It's a really, really great point.
It is. I mean, I can probably answer part one of it, the reason why. So I think it's definitely something that we would love to do. That's the upshot of it all. We would love to do that. But from the Stepladder point of view, I guess this is probably where I can answer this side of it. And again, it's also for Stepping Forward to a degree, because as well, it's, you do then have the paid version, I guess. The problem is that we can only pay into their savings accounts up until they turn 18. So that's the reason why we only do it up until they turn 18, is because of the savings account. So the idea behind the Earn as You Learn is that we want them to understand that this is what working is really. You do the work, you get paid, and it's the same thing. But how we can pay them is that we pay into their savings account, and it's meant to be building their savings account. So when they do turn 18, they have hopefully learnt some life skills and have a nice pot of money that they've earned.
And that is dictated by the government contract as well.
Yeah, and that's the upshot of it all, is that we would love to. What I now say to people is that, Stepladder is available unpaid. Now, you guys within local government will have funding to help these young people when they turn 18. So there is nothing stopping you guys from incentivising the programme and asking to see how the young person's doing. Or, I'm happy to give you a report of how your young people are doing on the unpaid version of the programme, because that's another way that I've sort of suggested to different local authorities that you can do it. You can incentivise it yourselves with whatever funding you have available. We just aren't in a position to do that because of the way our contract works.
And I think it, from the Stepping Forward perspective, and I would assume Natasha, once the new version of Stepladder is kind of up and running and things, that there is an availability, definitely, if there was a young person over 18 who wanted to take part in Stepping Forward. Like Natasha said, we have the public version, and I have got confirmation that, we're able to give free credits to any young people, any care leavers, anyone that has been referred to us by a local authority, a social worker, professional. So if there was any over 18s that wanted to do the course and get the learning, absolutely, we can sign them up for free. They wouldn't have to pay for it, but we wouldn't be able to incentivize that. And that's just the clear definition. It wouldn't come with the financial reward, but the quality learning and the program and everything else that comes with it would definitely be there. Thank you. Okay, any more questions before we wrap up? No. Perfect. So, sorry, just one quick one. Stepladder is such a great program. I agree with your points about local incentives. LA funding is a hard one. In Scotland, there is a new policy to release thousands to care leavers. We had heard about that, hadn't we?
Yeah, we have.
And a lot of
Yeah.
professional concern about how to do this in a way that helps with the most positive impact. A gap in the market for something from Share Foundation. Really, really interesting conversations, and actually think
Yeah, I mean,
we
we
have
do chat to the Scotland government
spoken.
quite a lot, and you
Yeah.
know, that is something that we are aware of, and it is something that we do want to see if we can explore. I think it's always one of those things that it's there's always a lot of red tape involved, is what I'm going to say, is the polite way of saying,
Yeah, and
you know.
it was the same with the UBI in Wales. We're always part of conversations, and we
Yes.
very excited to continue to be. But
Yeah,
great points,
absolutely.
Anya.
But
Fantastic.
Anya, yeah, if you have anyone that that is involved in this decision making, then send them our way, and we'll be more than
Yeah.
happy to have a chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you know anyone that would be interested in that conversation, definitely send them our way. So I'll just bring you quickly to a thank you. Here is the last page. So we've got our phone number. No AI bots involved. You can always give us a call, and there's always someone on the end of the phone to answer. Our generalized email, and then our website. And as Catherine mentioned earlier, we are on LinkedIn and Instagram. So if you are on LinkedIn as a working professional, please, we'd really appreciate a follow. We have regular updates and things on LinkedIn. Or if, we have Instagram as well. A great way, a lot of our content on Instagram is more aimed at young people. So if you have a young people where you're talking about the Share Foundation, say, hey, why don't you follow them on Instagram? They can keep updated that way. But just wanted to shamelessly plug our social media. Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I will stop sharing my screen now.
And I think we can stop recording as well.
And I
I
can
think
stop
that's, yeah.
recording. Thank you very much.